Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Portly Gamer again, and today I'm bringing you something different once again, and I'm going to try my first ever product review. So, let's see how this goes. So today I wanted to talk about the Razer Tartarus V2 right here. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because I purchased it recently, and I don't really see a lot of reviews out there about it, and I feel like there's some things I want to touch on about it that maybe, if you're looking into buying it, you might want to know. And just to reiterate, this is not a sponsored video. I purchased this with my own money a couple months ago, actually. And here we go. So what product review would be complete without an unboxing? There it is. So if you don't know, maybe you do because you looked up this video. The Razer Tartarus V2 is a brand new gaming keypad from Razer. It just came out at the end of 2017. And I've had it for, like I said, a couple months now. And it ain't bad. It's actually my first gamepad ever. I've wanted one for a long time, mainly to play MMOs. When I started to play Final Fantasy XIV again recently, I was like, you know what, I want one of these things. And then I just happened to find this, found out it was brand new, bought it as soon as I could, and I have it. I've been using it for a lot of games since I've gotten it. I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2, a little bit of Rainbow Six Siege, and I just use this thing pretty much for every game. Now, one thing I will say about this review is I'm not a super technically knowledgeable dude. I mean, I kind of am, but as far as like points of actuation and all that weird keyboard mumbo-jumbo that you'll hear in a lot of more professional reviews, this isn't going to cover that. This review is going to be more about just the consumer side of like, I've had it for a while, here's what I think. So here it is in all its glory. I just have a simple purple lighting with the fireplace or fire effect, whatever it's called. And so you've got all these keys. The old Tartarus just had 3 rows of 5 keys. This has an additional 4th row, and then it has a scroll wheel, which I only use for volume. I don't know if you can see on my screen there in the corner, but I mainly just use this for volume. I don't really find another use for it. And then of course you can have 3 different settings per profile, I think. I've actually not really used these that often. And then you have your thumbstick, which goes in 8 different directions. There's up, down, left, and right, of course, and then you have the diagonals in between. And then there's this button, which I usually use for an alt key. It helps in MMOs, like I can program these different keys to different attacks, and then I have the alt and press that, and it'll do an alternate version, like an alt 1, alt 2, or whatever, so I can assign all my different abilities to these different keys. Originally, I bought this with the intent of using this thumbstick for movement. Stop that, you. But it turns out, at least to me personally, and from a couple reviews I've seen for other similar keypads, it doesn't really work as well for a thumbstick as you would think. So I end up defaulting to using these middle keys here, like WASD. It's just easier to kind of use sort of what you're used to as far as finger placement. So that's why I ended up defaulting to the WASD and jump, whatever I would use for space. Is all here. You can still buy the old Tartarus on like Amazon, but on Razer's website you're only going to find the Orb Weaver, which is the higher price point keypad, and the Tartarus V2. Now the reason the Tartarus V2, as improved as it is and as much as it is more comparable to the Orb Weaver, the reason it's cheaper is because the Orb Weaver uses mechanical keys. This uses Razer's Mecha Membrane keys. Hear that? If you've ever seen or heard of or used the Razer Ornata keyboard, these are those types of keys. So if you're familiar with that keyboard, you know what to expect from these keys. Look at this dude down here. I have full confidence in my Black Widow Tournament Edition keyboard when I compete. It always gives me top-notch performance, which I need to win. They're buttons. Just press the buttons. Just play the game and press the buttons. So this is the Orb Weaver Chroma, which is the other gaming keypad that Razer offers. And as I mentioned, it's a mechanical keyboard, so you can actually choose between the green switch, which is clicky, and the orange switch, which is quiet. I actually have the orange switches on this Razer Black Widow Chroma Tournament Edition V2. Oh my gosh, so many words just to name a dang keyboard. So just to show you a little comparison, if you press real softly on the Mecha Membrane keys of the Tartarus V2, real soft, you still get that click, right? And then the orange keys, press real soft, it's like nothing. So that's the difference with the Orb Weaver. You can choose the different keys, they're mechanical. These are not technically mechanical on the Tartarus. The Tartarus retails for $79.99, currently out of stock. That was actually the thing too, is when I first tried to buy this from Amazon and from Razer, it was actually out of stock because it's so new and people are, I think, just kind of going after what units are available. Now the weird thing for me is out of the box, this 7 key sounds and feels a little different from all the other keys. If you just, I'm going to put it up to the mic. Right, and then here's the 7. Much quieter for some reason. Now it works just fine. That 7 key has no problems. It's just weird to me that that 1 key came out of the box sounding and feeling a little different. I actually kind of prefer the sound of that key because it's a little quieter, but it still feels punchy and satisfying to press. Another difference from the Orb Weaver is that this hand piece here is just one unibody piece with a little soft foam pad and a hand rest. Whereas the Orb Weaver, it's kind of like a multiple piece kind of thing. I don't really understand how it works because I've never had the Orb Weaver or seen it in person, but I just know that it's a little different and it has more pieces. This is just one piece that you can take out and move. I've never actually figured out how to take it out and move it without possibly breaking it, but I also don't need to because it's out of the box, it works just fine. That's more if you have bigger, longer, manly fingers as opposed to these little sausages. Now, another main reason that I bought this to begin with is for comfort. Playing on a keyboard, I'm still fairly new to PC gaming compared to the years of console gaming that I've done, and so when I play for hours on my keyboard, it starts to really hurt my wrist. Now with this really alleviates that problem. It's a lot more comfortable, it's a lot more ergonomic, my hand is more elevated and tilted, so it's not like this the whole time, because if your hand's like this for hours, it starts to really wear down on you. But if you're more natural like this, which is, you know, a little more vertical, which is why a lot of times you'll see ergonomic mice that are vertical. But yeah, it's a lot more comfortable, it feels more natural to use than just a regular keyboard. So that's pretty cool. Now one of the features that I use with this is Razer's Hypershift, where basically you assign a button to Hypershift on this thing, or if you have another compatible Razer device, you can assign it to that. But basically, you hit the Hypershift button that you assign to, and all of these keys can become something else. So you have 20 keys, more or less, on this thing, but if you use the Hypershift, you have an additional 20. Don't know why you would ever need that many unless you have you're playing an MMO where you just need all of the attacks in the game or something. But yeah, I mean, it's there, and it comes in handy because sometimes these keys just are not enough. Even when I'm playing Destiny, I'll need different keys for like the F1 and the F2 and all the function keys. So usually I have my Hypershift assigned to down on this thing, and I'll just pull that down. Whoopsie doodles. So I'll just pull that down, and then one of these keys will be one of the function keys. And it works. Now, as much as I enjoy using this Tartarus V2, there are some issues, but I think it has more to do with the software than it does the actual hardware. Like I mentioned, there is that one key that's a little bit weird, but all of the keys work just fine, and I think the issues are more software related, and I'm going to get into that right now. Now, a couple of the bigger, more annoying problems that I've encountered with the Tartarus are sometimes, and this is a rare thing, it actually hasn't happened to me in a while, but when I first got the unit, what would happen is I'd be playing a game, and for example, I'd be playing Final Fantasy XIV, and I would hit the strafe key that I had assigned on the Tartarus, and it would get stuck. Not the actual key, the actual physical key did not get stuck, but in the software, the command or whatever, I guess somewhere wires got crossed or something, not literally, but it would get stuck and my character would continue strafing even though I stopped. And at first I didn't know how to fix it, it just wouldn't stop until I like closed the sign-up software or restarted the game. But then after a while, I don't know if it was maybe I just didn't try it at first or it got patched, but when that would happen, I would just press the key again and it would stop. That would fix it. I've only really had that problem in Final Fantasy XIV and Minecraft, and again, I haven't had that problem in a while. However, on the Razer Reddit page, I posted a question about that when I first experienced it, and in the months since then, I've had more and more people come forward and say that they've had the same problem more recently. Again, it hasn't happened to me in a while, it was very intermittent, but it's something to know. And another super annoying problem that I've had, and again, this is probably just the sign-up software, is the software just wouldn't work sometimes. Like, I'd be playing a game, I'd be playing Destiny 2 for example, and I have certain keys mapped onto the Tartarus for Destiny 2 specifically, and it would just stop working. It would default to the normal, just default controls that it has set up for the Tartarus out of the box. And so my custom controls just wouldn't work. So I couldn't use certain functions on the Tartarus. I would have to switch to my keyboard and then take care of it later when I wasn't playing in the Crucible or something, doing something important. So when you're playing an online game, for example, like Destiny, and that happens, it's very annoying. And that is something that still happens. I mean, there was just an update for the software yesterday, which included an update for the Tartarus. I haven't played any games really recently that didn't use a control. I didn't use a controller on, so I don't know. Maybe that's not a problem anymore as of recording this. But I just know that recently in Destiny and Final Fantasy and Minecraft and Rainbow Six, it's a problem that I've encountered many times. But again, that's more to do with the software, I believe. Just from what I can tell, it has more to do with the software than it does the actual device. Despite those few issues that I've had, which again are so intermittent, so rare, that even though they are very annoying, I don't regret spending the $80 that I did on this a couple months back. So if you are interested in the Tartarus V2 after watching this review, I'm going to have a link in the description that you can just go and click on directly to go buy it, assuming it is in stock, because as of recording this, it is not in stock. Yeah. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I've never reviewed a product like this before. I usually just review games and movies, so this is a little bit different. I try to add my own little humorous spin on things, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. And if you're new to this channel, if this is your first time watching anything from me, feel free to check out some of my other stuff, which I'll link right here for you. And yeah, I'm the Portly Gamer. Like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know what else to say. I'm just leaving this time for the links. Putting the subscribe button on my face again. I don't know if you can hear my cat meowing. There's a cat meowing outside my door.